And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Check them out at greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live today from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's good to be in studio. It's been a minute. Long travels for me, so it's nice to be home.
It's nice to have you back.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sometimes you're gone so long that I miss you.
Yeah,
you're back.
I know. I appreciate that. Yeah, doing the show in my mom's house, my brother's house, my sister's house. Like I said, they just like to. Can you go somewhere else now? Can you maybe go stay
About
with
a 2-day
else?
limit.
Yeah, exactly.
Move on.
And I apologize too. I didn't say this yesterday, but I actually didn't watch 1 second of the last Knicks Spurs games because we were all at the Dave Matthews show. So I apologize. I didn't enjoy that in real time, but it was a nice family outing to the Dave Matthews show.
So much disrespect to the Knicks, Ian, that he wouldn't even watch as they wrapped up the championship. You believe it?
Par for the course.
At one point, my brother I don't know if he was streaming it or if he was just like had it, but he showed me and it was like the Spurs were up 10 or something. I'm like, yeah, they'll blow up, and I was right.
It's true.
I mean, I guess after it happened so many times, you don't really need to see it anymore. Just you know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's what happened. Yep, there you go. That sounds about right. So, but sounds like Ian's got some. Ian's going to go up there and parade, right? You hit the parade, Ian?
Won't make it in time for the parade. Unfortunately, July.
Ian will start a new parade.
Oh, what's that week? The 20th? I think it's a Monday, right? Yep. And that's the week we're going to go up there with the fam. So we'll spend the week up there, see what kind of swag I can find.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll be plentiful. Don't know if I'll go, who knows where I'll get it from. But I'll grab a couple of T-shirts, maybe a new hoodie, see what we can find up there.
They'll still be reveling up there.
Yeah.
I think you could start another parade. I think Ian get up there. Hey, guys, remember when the Knicks won the championship? Let's go. Another one.
We're here now.
Yeah.
We can start the parade.
We can start the parade.
We made it.
Just find that dude who was balancing a huge TV on his head.
Or the trash can.
I didn't see the trash
can. I saw a trash can at TV, riding a bicycle.
Same guy?
It might have been. But it could have been a different guy.
It was actually incredible watching him balance a TV on his head. Like a huge TV.
Yeah. I always hesitate to bring up videos nowadays because, I mean, frankly, I just don't know if they're AI or not. But I did see a video of these Knicks fans celebrating, and this dude just like chucked a traffic cone up in the air, and it came down and landed on top of some other dude's head.
I did see that one.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. I don't know that I would have enjoyed it if I was the person that the traffic cone landed on the head, but it was funny to watch.
Yeah. Sucks to
it
be
was
you.
It does. We got a lot going on today. Steve Layman from NewsChannel 5 will be with us at 7:30 on the program today, so we're looking forward to that, catching up with Steve later in the show. We will get into the Tennessee Titans and a drought that, frankly, is longer than I realized. We will get into that a little bit later in the show. Asking the question today on the program, how can coaching in the National Hockey League be so unimportant and yet so important at the same time? We'll get into that a little bit later in the program. But, Joe, we begin with Brendan Sorsby, who is not going to be playing college football for Texas Tech after all. Boy, we've talked a lot about Sorsby the last couple of weeks and the temporary injunction that he was granted by a Texas judge back on June the 8th, and it looked like he was going to play for the Red Raiders in 2026. That is not to be. He will apply for the NFL's supplemental draft. Cody Campbell put out a statement yesterday, basically that just said he's not going to be a part of the football team this fall and that the, quote, only viable and fair path for Sorsby's future is the supplemental draft. So an about phase here. Obviously, the Big 12 filed for a federal injunction yesterday morning to potentially go after Brendan Sorsby that way. And then you have this last night that went down, and Sorsby will not be playing college football this year. So, Joe, another twist, another turn, and now Brendan Sorsby's college football career is over at this point. What do you make of the news from yesterday that Sorsby will not be playing college football this year?
Well, it's good news that someone who did what he did ends up not, participating in the sport that he plays, because in any other sports league ever that would be a quick, easy decision. Unfortunately, the way it came about, still, it's not ideal. What you want to see is like at least Texas Tech to come out and say, hey, man, we're going to support you, but obviously you can't play. And that's not what happened. It wasn't until they got all this pressure. And look, kudos to, talked about it last week, like keep piling on the pressure and try to make this, it's uncomfortable enough that they change their minds. And that's what they did. I mean, the Big 12 completely banding against not just a member, but a very profitable member. Like Texas Tech is the most attractive TV, item this year, right? You could argue that in the Big 12 just because they're really good. And obviously they've taken on this, villain persona, again, all separate from Sorsby. So for them to band together, do what they did, and really make it to where it was possible that the games would not count, that because they are playing an eligible player. He's been ruled ineligible by the NCAA, and that maybe that would lead to not being able to play in the postseason. I don't know where it would have gone in the courts, but there was a possibility that they were going to flip this thing upside down on Texas Tech, and so he got out. He has this deadline for the supplemental draft, which is Monday, and he got out. And it's good, but it's still, again, it's like the way it came about, what it required, the fact that this judge ever in the first place gave him this temporary injunction is still infuriating. And I still look at this and wonder if, like, okay, so yeah, it's just like I've made the comparison to steroids. So again, if you're a young person looking at gambling, do you think that there's consequences? I mean, he did it ultimately because he bet on a team. This guy was an extreme case, but I think you could argue that there's still this outlook where, okay, I can gamble and I can get away with it and I can get a judge and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't change the fact that he did get a temporary injunction from the judge. So what's that going to mean for that stuff moving forward here? And, there's clearly been a groundswell here to get this out of here. The Big 12 athletic directors, the Big 12 presidents from other teams, other programs were not a big fan of this ruling that went down. And obviously a ton of pressure applied there. I mean, the Texas Tech president putting out his statement yesterday about, while Brendan's lawsuit resulted in the granting of a temporary injunction, we found ourselves in a difficult situation. With his health and wellness as our top priority, we supported him in spite of very different perspectives and opinions. It's like, okay, guys, we got to stop with this facade that you keep trying to throw out there that his health and wellness is your top priority when you were just going to play him. And then you got a bunch of pressure and wilted.
Right. Look, the one thing I'll say on Texas Tech's behalf is that apparently they're giving him all the money. So, I mean, that's good. Good on them. He gets the money. But yeah, if health and wellness was the top priority, then you probably would have really debated about whether he should play or not, right? I mean, support him, do all the things you're doing, great. But why does him playing? Why is that the best move for his health and wellness?
I don't even really understand the money part of this. Like, this is a decision that he made that he screwed up. And I don't know why he gets rewarded with the money out of all this either. Like that bothers me as well. Like, what does he need the money for?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did make these decisions before, right? So,
sure.
So I think that there's still a consequence here. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like they could be like, well, we didn't know. And so sorry, buddy. But I mean, look, they have more money than you could possibly count. So to me, it's like, you know what, make it good, make it right. I mean, I'm going to be very interested to see again, like how he's viewed by the NFL and everything, but yeah, I mean, just the fact that like the transgressions occurred long ago. He did play well to get himself to the point, right, of being a coveted quarterback. Oh, it's an interesting debate. I think on their part, though, it's a classy thing to do, to not be like, oh, and you're not playing. I know your health and wellness matters to us, but yes, you'll be giving us the money back too. Thank you.
When is the supplemental draft? Apparently, there's not a date for it that I've seen yet.
So, I don't know. That's a good question.
Interested to see what that looks like with the supplemental draft with them coming in there now.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously, this is not a thing that I think, like, what was it? Bernie Kosar went in the supplemental draft.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, you have these things every once in a while. I don't know about that, but it's going to be really interesting. I mean, because obviously, it comes down to a team. I mean, you've got to be. I'm sure some of the teams out there who might consider him would have preferred him to play this year. As bad as it may have been for college football, just to have another year of and especially like in light of all this information now, it's like, and you go back to last year and some of his bad performances, like, I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting to see what teams think about him. He's talented, but it's not like he's been overwhelmingly impressive on the field. Like, you can see the talent and the ability, and then you have this whole thing. So what does that come out in the equation? I don't know.
Sounds like it's not guaranteed, the supplemental draft.
Yeah.
It doesn't take place every year.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I think most years it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like anyone's been selected since 2019. And the last one that they had was 2023. And neither of the players were selected.
Who was selected at 19?
Safety Jalen Thompson, 5th round to Arizona.
Okay. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, because I think Kosar is probably the most famous example
1985
of the supplemental draft being put to use. So, yeah.
Steve Walsh was a supplemental
Steve
draft.
Walsh. There you go. So
in
that was
89.
91. Okay, 89. Okay, right. So every once in a while it happens, and this is a really complicated one for NFL teams. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see how some of the reporting on that and what teams think about it.
And then a couple of ones for like Terrell Pryor. He was a supplemental draft in 2011.
Okay.
And so was Josh Gordon.
And I think
some guys who got in trouble, I guess.
I think Terrell Pryor, that was in the wake of all the tattoo stuff. Tattoo Gate at Ohio State. That big crimes committed up there.
Objectively hilarious to look back on. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Off and running today on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your reaction to the Brendan Sorsby development. Well, he will not be playing college football for Texas Tech. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. One texter discussing the Brendan Sorsby story says, doesn't the NFL have a zero-tolerance gambling policy? Todd Monken was under the impression he wasn't going to be eligible for the NFL due to the gambling. I didn't see Todd Monken talk about that. But, I mean, he's got to gamble in the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's an
interesting thought from Todd Monken. Now, once he is in the league, like again, we've seen guys suspended for like gambling on like college basketball, because it used the Wi-Fi at the team, headquarters. So
Petit Frere was preparing to become a gambling expert while he's with the Titans.
I mean, is that what he is now? I don't know. I hope it's working out well for him. But
Ridley missed the entire year, right?
Yeah. Ridley had a year taken away. So like that. So yeah, obviously, I mean, look, first of all, I do take seriously, I have the whole time, that he has a problem, because like the data would tell you there's no question. Like, this is not just some kid here and there on the sports app. Now, sure, you seek treatment when you get caught, all that stuff, but that's how it happens a lot. And it doesn't mean the people don't have problems who have to face consequences of actually trying to face up to these issues. But that's what the NFL has to figure out, is like, where is he in like recovery? And then, what's the risk level? There's certainly a heightened risk than someone who doesn't have something like this. And then is he good enough to take that risk? Even if you trust in where he is on that stuff, how good do you think he is? I feel like he's too talented to not be selected, but I don't know, it's an interesting one. I mean, like, is there any team like you mentioned Steve Walsh and, Bernie Kosar or something. Now, Steve Walsh, for people who don't remember, he didn't do anything in the NFL, but he was absolutely highly considered. He was, he was on those Miami teams, ridiculous teams, and he was a great player in college. Is Brendan Sorsby going to be any franchise out there looking at like, this is our guy? It's hard for me to see that, but someone might get a steal.
They could. Yeah. I have no idea how good he is. That's going back to that part of the conversation here, from an NFL evaluation standpoint, it'd been great to see him play this year, right? Because you get more data points of how good is this guy, right?
See him play, see him handle all this crap. Because boy, let me tell you what the opposing crowds would have been like. See him get through it and not have any issues, all those things. The NFL, absolutely needed more data. But like, it's just a terrible thing for college football for someone who did that to actually play in college football.
People throwing out Cleveland as a perfect fit for Brendan Sorsby there. Just add to the quarterback room.
I mean, if you get enough quarterbacks at some point, maybe you'll actually hit on one.
Matthew from Jolton says Arizona or Minnesota will take a chance on him. Trevor going the Eagles, which is not a bad idea. The Eagles will be like, yeah, why not? We'll just take another chance on a quarterback.
Yeah,
see what happens to Jalen Hurts over the next couple of years.
Hit a gold mine with him too. The way their luck goes.
I mean, if Titans are looking for younger quarterback to sit there and maybe develop, right? You got Levis and Hooker. Why not just add Sorsby to the mix? Get in there and really spread this thing around.
Sure. Well, they don't seem to think much of Hooker.
They do not.
They're gonna, I think, move at some point Levis. So, I mean, how low, if it's truly a flyer, at some point someone's going to be like, he's too talented to not take a flyer, right?
Yeah, like I'll be totally honest with you. I have no idea how the supplemental draft works. Like, what is, in terms of what does that mean via the actual draft slot that he got? I have no idea how any of that works. So I don't think the Titans will or should consider the Brendan Sorsby part of this. Somebody's going to, though. Like, to your point, I'd be stunned if nobody takes it. Like, somebody will not be that scared off by all this where they're not going to look at it and say, yeah, we'll take a chance that, maybe in a couple of years he could be a starting level quarterback in the NFL.
So I'm learning about this in real time. So it's the teams are divided into 3 weighted tiers. Teams with 6 or fewer wins. The rest, that's tier 1. Remaining non-playoff teams is tier 2. Then the 14 playoff teams is tier 3. Then they do a random lottery. And then
It's way different than the regular draft.
Okay.
Looks like.
and so again, it's a pick which round of the next year's draft are they willing to, because obviously, you have to use a pick,
Sure.
that you have. And then the team that submits, so it's almost like a silent auction. You go to a charity event,
Okay.
a silent auction. The team that submits the highest draft round wins the player, and then that next pick is gone. And then if multiple teams bid a pick in the same round, that player is awarded to the team with the higher position in the supplemental draft order. So,
so if it's next year's draft, that probably doesn't bode well for him in terms of like the high pick
won't go
standpoint,
high.
because people are in love with next year's draft.
They are.
Like 6th rounder.
Well,
5th rounder.
That's the thing. Is there? I could see a team out there being like, I mean, this is worth a 4th round flyer, right? Even could a team be like, hey, he's absolutely good enough to be a 3rd rounder. That's where you get into risk and then the uncertainty. I'm going to guess it's somewhere in there, 3rd or 4th round. I think that's worth it for a team that has a lot of picks.
Pryor was a 3rd rounder.
Okay.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was Pryor drafted as a quarterback?
It says quarterback Terrell Pryor, 3rd round Raiders.
I think he was. And that destination makes a lot of sense too. The Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sure,
Josh Gordon
sure.
was the 2nd round. For the Browns, they did 2nd round, but both are 5th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 6th, 2nd. Those are kind of like the range.
Okay.
And Josh Gordon, what? He smoked weed? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that the extent of Josh Gordon?
As far as I know.
I don't know about that at that point, but
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna predict that someone will gamble a 3rd round pick.
Okay. I like that. That's good.
We learned about the supplemental draft today.
By the way, yes, Josh
Kudos.
Gordon
good
entered
use of
the
gamble.
Supplemental draft because he was ineligible for the standard spring draft after being dismissed from Baylor for a failed marijuana test.
Yeah.
That issue stuck around in his NFL career.
Yeah.
He was there for a while.
But again, it's like that's another one of those things. Just like you look back at college cheating, like, oh my God, marijuana.
All I can see in my head right now is Stephen A. Smith screaming into the television saying, "Stay off the weed."
I smoke weed constantly.
I was just gonna say, what? How different would PK's life be if people weren't more tolerant?
How different would PK's life be if Josh Gordon played here?
Oh God. Just imagine those guys would be playing hacky sack all day outside the facility.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We got more thoughts to get to on the Brendan Sorsby front. We got another thought I want to get to on things we got to get rid of this city. We'll do that coming up next, too. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. A lot of different thoughts on Brendan Sorsby.
We got an old Texas Tech fan.
Yeah, he's apparently there's no proof that he's keeping any money. Good to know.
Okay, I just know, all I know is that Cody Campbell put out this long statement, which is one of those, sorry that happened to you, or congratulations statements, but
I ain't reading all that.
yeah, but he said that they're giving him the money. I don't know. Is that, well, why does there need to be proof? That's what the dude said.
You need to hold the money in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I need to see every transaction he spends with that money. He also, this is old Texas Tech man 9144 also says, now the your mark problems started. I don't understand what that means, sir.
I don't know.
But thank you for joining our YouTube chat.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Keep it coming on the YouTube chat.
Yeah. Welcome.
David Big Rock asking if you've seen the preview for the 30 for 30. They're making about MSG, legendary longtime fans, Kuharski, Timothy Chalamet, and Spike Lee. What a trio.
Is there seriously, though, like excluding Kuharski, like a 30 for 30 about MSG?
I don't know. I'm going to doubt it.
I mean, it would be timely if they did.
It would be.
Yeah.
It'd be a heck of a time.
Oh, yeah. The Boz was in the supplemental draft. That's
Yeah.
right, Matthew from Jolton.
Chris Carter was a supplemental pick.
Chris Carter, great player. And that's what it's always like, obviously you remember like Terrell Pryor, that stuff happened. Like, you're always like, why did guys like that do it? You know, why did they go supplemental draft? I mean, I guess it's just like change your mind, you know, before like Bosworth, both of those guys seem like easy decision, you know, whenever they're eligible, go to the draft guys. But yeah, supplemental draft, it's kind of like a throwback.
If you're wondering, according to artificial intelligence, the Tennessee Titans have never drafted a player in the NFL supplemental draft.
Okay.
In case you're wondering.
I mean,
This is a quick AI answer.
throw out a fifth. Throw out a fifth.
Chris Carter was ineligible at some point during the NCAA. I don't know.
Okay.
And so it sounds like everybody who ran into trouble there ended up in the supplemental draft.
Yeah, that's going way back. But yeah, that's what. Oh, yeah, Bosworth. Maybe Bosworth had some eligibility issues too, I guess. So I don't know. I just remember Bo Jackson running him over on Monday Night Football. It was a glorious thing. But I'm telling you, Titans, just throw out a fifth and see, and maybe you'll be like, if you got Sorsby, like next year, again, we talk every year now about the draft. I know next year's a great draft, but is it great at the end of the draft? I think the ends of the drafts are going to continue to be limited and watered down because of NIL. So you throw out a 5th round pick and you might have yourself, a really talented young backup and potentially, a competitor if Cam Ward doesn't get a lot better. I mean, you don't know. It's always good to have a plan B at any position, including quarterback. It's not gonna be any kind of quarterback controversy. It's a 5th round pick, you know. But you have a talented young guy who could grow into the role, and of course, then you're gonna have to, worry about all the gambling stuff. But just a thought.
I mean, it's from a organizational standpoint, less to worry about if you're getting for a 5th round pick. It's like, okay. I mean, yeah, we're going to help you and you keep yourself together over there. But if, you end up screwing up, it's a 5th round pick.
Yeah, you're 5th round. Exactly. Yeah. It's low risk in terms of, but I think they should. I'm not kidding that they should throw out a 5th round pick. Any team should. I think he's talented enough. I think he's demonstrated enough ability for that. And look, the issues are on the table. They are being dealt with by professionals. Like you just have to think that someone with this much at stake would understand that, right?
You would think.
And I don't think it will work because I think someone will go 4th or 3rd to get him. But I say, why not?
A story from our city, Joe, and it just has me asking questions of what purpose do these things serve? And I think we've talked about this before on the show. But apparently there was a scooter rider downtown, one of these Lime scooters that's taking place that just blew through the intersection and, of course, got hit by a car. Thankfully, this person has serious injuries, but apparently they're like, it's not life-threatening or anything. We've seen some other incidents so far this year. Apparently our pedestrians being hit by stuff is way up this year so far, which
Hmm.
is not good. But it has me asking the question: has anything good come from these Lime scooters or scooters that are maybe not Lime scooters, other companies just buzzing around downtown? Like, does anybody enjoy these things? Because it seems to me the combination of Broadway or really anywhere downtown where there's all these bars and people just motoring around on scooters is a horrific combination. And I like, if you were handpicking cities across America, well, that's probably not a great idea. This would be one of them, I would think. Does anybody want these? Like, are there listeners out there that are like, yeah, you know what? I love having the scooters around downtown. We got to get rid of these as a city. That's my call to action for the city of Nashville.
It's funny because last week we were in Washington, D.C., and we did the mall and did like Smithsonian and everything. And Caroline, I was watching people on these things, and I must say, like, that's big open areas, and we had to walk forever, and we had to walk to a train station and everything. And she was like, "Did we just please get one of these for just like a mile?" And I was like, "No, they're just not safe. No, we're not doing it." But that was like open spaces and like relatively safe. Here, it's insane to me.
Yeah.
Like here, I wouldn't trust myself.
No.
To get on one of these, let alone let one of my kids get on.
Well, there's not enough room to maneuver, and people try to get up on the sidewalk of these things. I'll be walking to Bridgestone Arena for a Preds game, and of course, there's somebody hopping on one, and they're just buzzing. They're either buzzing through, or there's somebody on one that's got the wobbles that is scared to actually ride it, so they just sit there and halfway ride it, and then they end up on the ground, and it's like, yeah, you probably just don't need to be riding the scooter out there today. Sorry, you just get up and walk. It's not going to be that hard. That's the other thing. Like within the downtown kind of scope of things where everything happens, there's nothing that's really that far away, right? Like you can walk if you really want to. Like it's not that big of an area when it gets down to it.
To me, that whole area from I don't know, whatever 7th or whatever down, those should be banned. I guess you don't have to ban both, but I'd be for banning those and getting rid of the cars in that area too.
But we talked about this before in a rant, like the amount of people that I guess are visiting here that just don't look when they're crossing the street. Like this, apparently this dude just blew through the intersection on the scooter and never once thought to look up and say, I'm going into the street right now. I wonder if there are any cars coming. It's like, that would be the first thing I'd look for is, hey, is there this giant vehicle traveling at 40 miles an hour that's about to run me over?
Like that is that intoxication?
I mean, it's got to be
Has that been reported, right? And by the way, what is the? I mean, I assume that's I'm struggling for the word. Illegal, like just as much on that as any other moving motor vehicle.
Like Craig on the text line says, as a police officer, the amount of people I hear say you can't get a DUI on a scooter. Public service announcement: you most definitely can get a DUI on a scooter.
There you go. I mean, again, it's like, any sort of moving vehicle, and those, like, for example, we know like golf carts, for example, right? I mean, whatever you can come up with, but these like super dangerous. So I don't want to speculate because I don't know with this particular story, but like that sounds like someone who's just hammered and got on a scooter,
just blasting through the intersection. I was like, oh, wow, they get hit by a car, huh? When they didn't look at the intersection. It's amazing.
So does it take someone getting killed to ban them?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of the actual banning process. I just, like, does anybody have any experience? It's like, yeah, this is great. Like somebody just texted in and say, I go park on the Mumbria and then take the scooter to the tailgate of the Titans game. Save me $15 when I'm running late. Like, okay. So there's a nice example of a scooter being useful. They seem to me, as somebody who lives here, to cause more problems downtown than they actually solve. That is the way that I kind of view it.
Yeah. So, like there are areas, like I would say, like where we were last week, I get it. Like it actually helps a lot. It is if you try to walk the whole lawn and everything, or some, some open space areas, cities, I mean, gosh, I guess even here, if you were on the West End, in a Centennial Park area,
Yeah.
it can help you. But like you said, especially down in that area, I mean, come on, you can get that whole thing walking, no problem.
And not very much time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not that big.
It's time.
Every time I go down there and I'm looking around, there's always somebody on one of those scooters that you look at and immediately identify as, yeah, that person probably doesn't need to be operating that. Not even necessarily because they're drunk, just because they have no idea what they're doing and they're trying to buzz in and out of people on a sidewalk. And it's like, no, I'm going to stick my arm out and clothesline you if you keep doing that.
But I just don't understand how you have that kind of courage to do that unless there's liquid courage involved.
Yeah.
And if you're in that area, I just assume there's liquid courage.
Jay in Clarksville says, I've seen a group of scooters attempt to enter the interstate by mistake.
Oh, my
Like,
God.
how do you make that mistake? Oh, the on-ramp of the interstate. It's
Scooter
stuck
to
up
the
on us.
airport.
Yeah.
God. Well, that reminds
one-
me sometimes, speaking of golf carts, every once in a while, even the souped up ones that are on the streets, like, get out of here,
Yeah.
man. You cannot be on the road.
One texter says, the only time I've used a scooter was back when we had the NFL draft. It was convenient to get around. Now I'm just picturing trying to navigate the just mass humanity of people downtown in and
Right.
out of that.
Yeah, like I if you were like from far away and getting to the entry point of that, I get it. But yeah, I don't even know how that would have worked. That was so much humanity packed into a small area.
I don't know.
I'm with you.
People generally on the text line not with the scooters. Don't like the scooters.
Feels like
We have found a couple examples though that make sense.
might be a little bit of a generational gap there. The youngsters are good on the scooters in the neighborhood, the non-electrical ones. We didn't really I didn't grow up with scooters. It was bikes,
Yeah.
rollerblades,
Skateboards.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. And now all the kids, they're scooting around in
Oh,
the
yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
They're flying. So
Yeah.
maybe they're a little bit more.
And I don't love
in
that
tune.
either. I don't love it in my neighborhood. I have been driving at times and it's like a kid just in the middle of the road. And it's like, dude, you can't, there's going to be someone who's not paying attention, probably another teenager. Sorry to be an old man yelling at a cloud. And then, the teenager driving and then an 11-year-old on the scooter, and it's a problem. Lance says 10, 20 years from now, drones will be buzzing people across the city, crashing into the outlawed scooters. Wow.
Maybe.
That's a dystopian view there, Lance.
Can you imagine just looking up? There's drones everywhere, just like delivering stuff to people. Or somebody on a scooter, like trying to get away from a drone.
Well, these college campuses, you got like these DoorDash little machines that just are bringing food to people.
Yeah, it's a little freaky too.
It is.
Between that and
Get
like
rid of
the Waymo
technology.
cars
Let's
that
get
are
rid of technology.
going around. I got stuck behind a Waymo, like I don't know, probably a month ago at this point. Speed limit on the road was 45. It was going like 20. I was like, what are we doing? If we're gonna have people or like driverless cars, can they at least go the speed limit? What are we doing around here?
Not less than half of it.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take your thoughts on scooters downtown and other things you'd like to see that people get rid of in our city. More of that coming up next,
Including people.
Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
I saw the end of the world in the US, and it's called Buc-ee's. They say it's a gas station, but that's a lie. A gas station has a sad sandwich and a coffee machine that never works. This place has 120 pumps. 120. Why? Are you refueling the US Air Force? Are you preparing for an alien invasion? That's terrifying. And the mascot is a beaver in a baseball cap. I saw grown men taking photos with a statue of a rodent. In France, we have revolutions. In the US, you bow down to a squirrel on steroids. And inside, the aggression. A man with a knife screaming, fresh brisket on the board. Sir, calm down. I just want sparkling water. Don't kill me. But I have a problem. I wanted to hate it. I wanted to be the superior Frenchman snob. But then I ate the beaver nuggets. I don't know what is in them. I think it's sugar, butter, and pure methamphetamine. I ate one, then I had the whole bag in the parking lot like a wild animal. And the toilets, I have to admit it, but they are nicer than my apartment. You could eat the brisket off the floor in the bathroom. It's cleaner than the hospital. So I have failed. I came to judge and I stayed for the snacks. I don't have the hat, but in my heart, I am wearing the hat. God bless the beaver.
Oh God.
Bucky's continuing to take visitors to our nation by storm out there. Apparently, the French, big fan of Bucky's, walked in there skeptical, walked out with beaver nuggets.
Pure methamphetamine in the beaver nuggets. God, that is absolutely brilliant.
This is a good example of, the World Cup can be a pretty unifying thing out there,
Look, man, I'm going to say, I listened to DVD going through some of these yesterday. We've talked a little bit about the one guy. What's the guy's name?
Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah.
This is obviously the World Cup last was here in 1994. I remember it. No way you remember it, Robby. Ian, you may. But, like the internet was like brand new back then. This is one really cool thing about having it here. We got people from all over the world, and like some of this discovery of America is actually pretty amazing. I love the Buc-ee's. I wanted to hate it, but I love it.
The amount of videos I've seen on TikTok of like these French dudes or like this English dudes like walking into a Waffle House. They're like, wait a minute, this is open like 24/7. You can just get in here and get eggs whenever you want. Yeah, buddy, you can.
Well, and the one that DVD read was like it's pretty amazing. Like this whole free salsa and chips with no obligation. I can just sit here and have salsa and chips while I wait for my food. Oh my God. See, we've got some good stuff going on in this country,
That's
folks.
right. The World Cup, it's kind of highlighting some of that, the Buc-ee's, I could have, I remember the first time I pulled into a Buc-ee's. It was like, oh, is this like a spaceport? What's going on here? So I imagine like if you're from another country and you've never seen this, the first time you see one, it has to be an overwhelming experience. Apparently for this guy, it was.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, the first time I did a few years ago, I was like, what in the world? What is happening?
They landing spacecraft here? What goes on?
It's funny because Caroline and I went into one yesterday, and I was like, my God, there are 1,000 people in here.
And yet it never feels that way, No,
and you never wait.
No.
You never wait. It just boom, right through. I got some, and I think they were the nuggets. They were the puffs. I'd never gotten them before.
Yeah.
They're freaking good.
Yeah, they are.
they're puffs, but they also have a little crunch to them. You know what I mean? It's insane.
No, I'm thoroughly enjoying the World Cup reaction here.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It is. It's funny. It's a good thing. A lot of this, a lot of the World Cup stuff is, and I will say too, I mean, I'm watching anything that's on. I've been watching the matches.
I have stayed strong to this point, and I've only watched the United States.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No, I've got it on all the time. It's like I was watching some Iran, New Zealand last night.
Yeah, I had that
Saudi
thought.
Arabia.
Yeah, I had that thought at some point yesterday. I was like, oh, be a nice night to not have to watch a game. We've been so slammed with the basketball and the hockey and staying up late.
Right.
And I thought about it. I was like, oh, be nice to not have to worry about watching anything. But then I did get a little sad. I was like, you know what? Basketball's over.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of bummed I'm not going to be able to watch more basketball. Hockey, over. Kind of bummed can't watch any more hockey. So I was like excited about the break, but then I got a little depressed about the lack of games.
You know what I haven't watched
It's
one
constant.
second of so far? Not 1 second.
I know what
The
you're gonna
College
say.
World Series.
I
Have not
know.
watched a single pitch
Yeah.
of the College World Series.
I haven't watched much. I haven't. Yeah, it is. This is an unfortunate thing. Well, certainly like for our show and for like this area, because it's like half the SEC is in the thing,
Yeah.
but not Tennessee, not Vanderbilt, and then you have all this other stuff going on, especially the World Cup, and it is definitely taken away from it, or at least it seems to, right?
Craig says, I saw a video of a group of German people going to Waffle House at like 2 a.m. A fight broke out in the Waffle House, and they described it as dinner and a show. It's the only way to describe Waffle House from here on out. I mean, who among us has not been in a Waffle House late at night and seen some sort of shenanigans going?
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the
it's a rite
American
of passage.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. Trevor said, I guess free refills aren't a thing. He means internationally either, because I keep seeing videos of people be amazed at the free refills. Yes, we will load you up with soda.
You can just get as much of this as you want.
Have all the pop you want.
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I haven't seen anybody calling it pop from out of the country, so that's been good.
I need to get with some of these people and spread the word worldwide that it's pop.
Lance says, my wife saw a video of a British guy eating country fried steak and gravy for the first time. He started legitimately crying.
I will say,
how magnificent is this?
I'll say the first time I was at a buffet in London, I realized that their breakfast buffets include baked beans. And
wow, that's
I was
great.
going to say that's probably because British food is terrible.
Yeah,
that's something.
I can't say I've ever really, focused too much on British food, but when I watch it, like when I watch some of these cooking shows sometimes, and then there are people that some celebrities will have this debate about like what food is better, British food or American food. And it's like, I think we got you beat there. Sorry.
Yeah. I like fish and chips. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Like French food, they might take the cake, and they're so close to England, and yet their food is horrific. Texture says, God, I can't stand the French. Don't they need to surrender again? You do remember, and by the way, I was just at the Museum of American History. Like, we won the Revolutionary War because they kind of saved our butts, and you gotta give them that, Like, yes, we helped them out in World War II. Like, we did kind of owe them, for the whole Revolutionary War thing.
Listen, you never know what you're going to get on this show,
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a little sports,
history.
It could be some history. It could be some, maybe city policy that we're trying to get done out there when it comes to these scooters, which apparently somebody texted in and said there was like a mini revolt of these things in 2021 where people were chucking scooters off the pedestrian bridge. I don't recall that, but I'll take your word for it.
Is there any video of this? Just going out there.
I mean, I would assume that's also illegal. Is to pick up a scooter and chucking it.
Yeah, we're not condoning that. I think if you want to guarantee you're going to be arrested, do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Maybe you could, I don't know, cross the wires on them or something. That'd be a little bit less destructive and still effective.
Somebody said I quit focusing on British things in 1776. Have some of that.
Is that Kaharski? You sound old.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A drought that the Titans are in the midst of, that until Rexrode pointed it out, I really guess I wasn't aware of it, but my goodness, it's depressing. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Steve Layman from NewsChannel 5 will be with us later this hour coming up at 7:30. So looking forward to that. Joe, you made me aware of something yesterday that I guess I just didn't realize that it was that bad. When it comes to droughts in the NFL, okay? So you're talking about championships that have not been won, the longest ones in the NFL. Yes, I believe the 1961 Oilers won the AFL championship. That is the last time that this franchise won a championship at the NFL level. And if you're listening and saying, well, that's not even the Super Bowl era, who cares? I'm with you. So I'm right there with you when it comes to that. I guess only the only the Lions and the Cardinals have longer droughts in the NFL than the Tennessee Titans franchise.
Yeah, the Cardinals, 78 years, 1947 there. I think they were the Chicago Cardinals then. I believe that would be true. Yeah, the Lions, 1950, whatever. You know, my Uncle Bill, he's able to talk trash in second grade. Shout out to Uncle Bill.
Way to go.
Yeah. And so that's, what is that number? I don't have the Lions number in front of me, but it's 65 years, 67 years, whatever it is. This came up because it came up last week. I think I saw it on ESPN, but because the Knicks were working on their 53-year drought.
Right.
So they, now there are longer ones in the NBA. The Atlanta Hawks, 68 years. They were St. Louis Hawks. The Sacramento Kings. Does anybody realize that you're like, the Sacramento Kings won a championship? Well, yes, in 1951 as the Rochester Royals.
Sure.
They did. Cardinals will be the longest of any sport, 78 years. Okay. But yeah. And then, of course, we have to give a shout out to the Toronto Maple Leafs and their 58-year drought, 1967, baby.
Hate to see it.
Yes, the summer of love. The Toronto Maple Leafs won it. But yeah, this organization is right up there. Third longest drought in the NFL, and you're going back to 1961. And so I don't think enough. Well, I don't know. I don't know that we have to talk a lot about like the Oilers, the history of the franchise, but we do talk about DNA, right?
Yeah.
Like PK talks about DNA, and I get mad about it because I think when you change front offices on like player stuff, I just don't think that's, it's just a thing that's happened. They just failed for a long time to like get good receivers. They've also failed for the most part to draft good quarterbacks. They like Steve McNair, and you can go back to Warren Moon, although they missed on him like everybody else when he should have been the first overall pick coming out of college, but he was black. That's seriously the only reason he wasn't the first overall pick coming out of Washington in like 1979. But for the most part, they failed at quarterbacks too. But that's different front offices. When you look at something like this, and I totally, with the Lions, as a reformed Lions fan, it is in the DNA to me because of ownership. So that, when we talk about Titans DNA, to me is the fair thing to talk about, is just the inability to get to the top with the same ownership family the entire time.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair. If you're talking about this long of a sample size, and not only that, Joe, it would be another thing too, if you just couldn't get to the top and you had been to the Super Bowl like 5 times, and you just had rotten luck when you're in there. They've been once, right? Now, is that all ownership? No. They've had some teams along the way that I fully believe were good enough to win. There's no better example than the year after they actually got to the Super Bowl and the 2000 Titans. That was absolutely a good enough team to win the Super Bowl. 2021, that was a good enough team to win the Super Bowl, and we know what happened in that one. So, it's more complicated than just ownership and DNA, and the Adams family is majorly culpable for this. They are, but it's more complicated than just that. But if you go that long without winning a championship, in a sport that is designed for when you're bad to get back at least the middle of the pack as quickly as possible based on the way the rules are set up, there's got to be some level of that in there. I mean, some of it's luck, but some of it is you're not running an organization at the highest of levels that's out there that we do see from some other owners around the league.
Right. So, yeah. And so even the things you mentioned, you're absolutely right. You could look at this as a Titans fan. You could say we're cursed because you could look at the Ravens game with the 2000 team. You could look at the Ravens game, or I'm sorry, it was the 2000 team, right? Yes, it was the 2000 team. Ravens game with the 2008 team. Bengals game with the 2021 team. And you could say, like, there's just, you can't blame anybody who owns the team or runs the team when things like that happen in the field. But I would say that, like you just said, it's designed for everybody to have their bites at the apple. It's designed for people to cycle up and down in this league. So, you're going to have, again, the freaking Lions have had some really good teams here recently. You know, they had an incredible player in Barry Sanders, and they were actually a threat for a while, really largely because of that. Like that, you're going to have stuff like that. But when you have so few, that also speaks, I think, to, like you said, I think that's a good, fair way to put it, is just not running an organization at the highest level. And compared to your peers, some of these ownership groups or owners, families, have figured out ways to sustain success and have consistent excellence. And, you know, this one just hasn't. And obviously it's easy to really pick on it now because of the cycle they've been in here in the last few years.
Well, and I think the other part of this is you look at some of the contemporaries that are also in this category and what stands out about them, right? Like the Cardinals, pretty poorly run franchise. I think we would all agree with that. You know, the Lions have had recent success, but the majority of my life and the majority of your life, the Lions have been a tire fire out there, right? So, like, we all understand that. Yeah. The Browns, I mean, it's the same thing. So when you start to look at, you know, other contemporaries here who have similar droughts going on, you're just like, well, franchise is not very good, right? Now, the one that's interesting to me that I would say really doesn't have a history of just total futility, meaning like for the majority of my life, they've at least been competitive and pretty good and have never had any sort of real postseason success that's interesting to think about. Like Minnesota has always been like pretty good. Like they just, you know, you look back through the last 20 years and you could find 14-3, 13-4, 10-6, 11-5, 12-4, 15-1 back in 98, right? Like there's you can look back through and they are pretty consistently competitive, and they've never been able to break through and win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now the Wilfs bought them 20 years ago or 21 years ago, so they were bought in 2005. It was Red McCombs who owned them before that, so they've had ownership change in that time. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those where you look at it, it's like, man, you know, that's just like terrible luck.
Yeah, and they lost 4 Super Bowls way back when.
Yeah,
I mean, 60s and 70s.
Great teams, the Purple People Eaters, Fran Tarkenton, and they could never quite get over the top, losing those Super Bowls back in the early days. And, oh, yeah, you're right, always pretty good. I mean, obviously, you could look at the 1980, whatever year that was, 88, 89, the Herschel Walker trade is a, you know, more than anything that built a dynasty in Dallas. But also, like, you know, they were on the other side of that trade, wasn't very good. But yeah, that's a good one. Someone mentioned on the text line, like the Spanos family and the Chargers. Yep. That's another franchise that, more than this one, I would say has been successful. But it's the same thing in terms of what they've been to the one Super Bowl, right? They've been to the one Super Bowl with Bobby Humphrey as quarterback and, you know, lost to the Niners and Steve Young. So, I mean, when it comes down to it at the highest level, it's the same thing. But it seems to me like that's an interesting one too. It's like they're just always good. They're the Hall of Good. They're just never great. And they should have had some teams that broke through when Phillip Rivers was quarterback, but they never did.
So we've laid out the drought that the Titans franchise has gone through. It's been a long time since they've won a championship, and they have not even approached one recently, obviously. I mean, the thing we still go back to is the Super Bowl of the 1999 season. So it's been a long time since they've been in that conversation. What does it mean? Does it mean that there's something in the Titans' DNA that is holding them back? Does the Adams family recognize any of this at all? We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Steve Layman from NewsChannel 5 will be with us at 7:30. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. It's been a long time since this organization has won a championship. Wasn't even in the Super Bowl era. It was the AFL championship back in 1961. So it was a long time ago. Taking your thoughts on what that means for the DNA of this organization. Alex says, I think it comes down to being unable to identify a long-term quarterback since McNair. Every peak since McNair has been with a short-term QB solution, and then lost in the wilderness for a while, which is true. I mean, you think about 2008 when they were the number 1 seed. I mean, Kerry Collins was the quarterback that year. So certainly at that stage of his career, not a long-term answer at quarterback. And that was in the midst of you having drafted Vince Young 2 years before that. And then more recently, Tannehill was the quarterback in 2021 when you had number 1 overall seed. And obviously they just moved on from Marcus Mariota at that point. So, I mean, Tannehill was around longer than Collins was, but in general, yes, they have struggled and haven't identified the long-term quarterback since Steve McNair, and that's been a long search at this point.
That's true. Again, I was just talking about the Chargers. They identified Phillip Rivers. They had Drew Brees. They've got Justin Herbert. Yep. They had, of course, the greatest of all of them, Dan Fouts.
Friend of the show.
So they did the same thing and also had the same success in terms of one Super Bowl and never winning it all. By the way, I just went back to the 60 AFL season. It was 8 teams. The Boston Patriots, Buffalo Bills, Houston Oilers, Dallas Texans, Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers. Well, I didn't know that. Oakland Raiders, and the Titans of New York.
Oh, yes. Every now and then you get those throwback jerseys that the Jets will wear that are awful.
Yeah. So 8 teams. First year, they won it, and it's nothing since then. So from an ownership perspective, because, yes, I agree. Like, there's always – things that you can point to that are just like everybody could deal with this issue. Everybody could miss on a quarterback or whatever. You have to hire good people. Is it if there's something that is a consistent blind spot? Is it cheapness? Is that fair? I know about 10 years ago or so, Amy invested more, but I mean, again, these NFL facilities are there's other examples of successful franchises that don't have Taj Mahal facilities or whatever. You certainly can't be cheap when it comes to player acquisition. Is it just being bad at hiring people? I know that our criticism of Amy, of course, recently is just not being responsive to the fans. Not being out there and being willing to talk about things as they've been in this bad cycle of hiring and firing. Is there something that defines them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one texter is talking about, they can't win a Super Bowl because they never go all in on a roster. I can't imagine them making a Parsons trade or a Garrett trade to get over the hump. Talks about the Julio trade being the closest, and that was more of a hope and a prayer and not much given up.
I'll give up a second-round pick.
Give a second-round pick. I mean, I think if the roster was in a great spot, then you'd probably be more willing to do that if you're Amy Adams Strunk, right? Like, I don't know the answer to that. Like, I don't know that she's not willing to do those things. Their roster has not been in a spot that makes anywhere near enough sense to do anything like that in a while at this point. So I don't know. Like, if they were in a different spot, would Amy have given the go-ahead to like, hey, yeah, do whatever it takes to do to go get Myles Garrett or do whatever it takes to do to go get Micah Parsons or whatever that is? I don't know. Maybe. But I just think the way that the roster is shaken out, I don't know if I pin that on the owner, not going out and being aggressive that way.
Yeah, I don't know of any situation where a GM over time wanted to do something and then ownership stopped them, because sometimes that's just a GM decision.
Well, I think the most recent thing that you could look at, and again, I don't know the answer to this. We've blasted J-Rob for this, and he deserves to be blasted for it. But like, how much of not paying AJ Brown was also like J-Rob talking to Amy Adams Strunk? She's like, no, I'm not paying him $25 million a year, whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer to that is. But if she was involved in that, and I would assume she was involved at least to some level.
Sure.
then that would be something that you could look at and criticize for sure. Of like, really, you weren't willing to pony up for AJ Brown?
100%. No, I mean, and I think, I think John Robinson had independently had his own frustrations dealing with AJ's agent and all that stuff. But yeah, ultimately the owner, like, you're not going to defy your owner's wishes if your owner's like, we need to keep him.
Yeah, the bottom
Or
line
the
is
other way around.
if
yeah.
she absolutely wanted the deal to get done, it would have gotten done.
Exactly. So of course that's on her. I mean, it's in him too, but yeah, it's on her. Like, you're going to, if you recognize the value of that guy, I mean, you have to let your people do their job. And I think that for the most part she did, especially then. When things were going well, I think she paid Vrabel and Robinson and said, this is great, and these are the greatest guys ever. And then as soon as it started going bad, all of a sudden people started getting fired. But again, that move quickly started the dominoes. So yeah, is it cheapness? Is it bad, not being able to hire? Alex says, yes, it's the bad hiring. See Russ and Webster. They've made some bad hires. They made some good hires. They may have made a good hire here. They may have a good hire at GM right now. They may have a good hire at coach right now. We'll see. But you think of the great owners, like you think of the Rooneys, of course, right? And what is it that they do that is so much more effective than some of their peers in this league? You could also look at like a Jerry Jones, and there's a lot that comes with Jerry Jones. Now at this point, they're Drought and everything, I mean, he's always been the same guy. Like, please hand me the microphone. I want all the credit, all that stuff. It worked for a while until it didn't. And they still have, like, generally have had really talented teams. They've been good, I think, at player acquisition over the years, right? But this just seems like it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think you start from the top there.
What I think when you're looking at owners in this discussion, I think what really separates it for me is, can they do it in different eras, like with different? Because look, I mean, people are going to talk about the Patriots in this and Robert Kraft, we can get into all that, but the bottom line is Robert Kraft had Tom Brady forever and Bill Belichick forever. It's like, well, if you're an owner out there, it's like, well, great, give me that situation, and I'd love to be the owner of that team, right? So
owners can be made to look good.
They can. I think you brought up the Rooneys. I think it's a great example. I think Bisciotti in Baltimore is another great example of, they've gone through their thing with Lamar, but I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. They won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer as the quarterback. Like, it's been, I mean, basically all of my life, the Baltimore Ravens have been good to very good and in the conversation and have won some championships throughout it.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought from a texter. So I don't think it's her being cheap, because I don't think she's been cheap since she's been the owner. You could also look at the Chiefs, Clark Hunt, who has one of the best organizations in sports, and they've also been very cheap outside of Patrick Mahomes, and that is true.
That's true.
Like, they get these report cards that these soft ass owners can't handle having. He gets like F minuses from his own players. Yeah. So it's like, well, sorry guys, all the money's going to Patrick, and you guys can have a 1 ounce of cream cheese on your bagels.
I think the Chiefs ownership score, the F minus, was the first time I'd ever even heard that term. I was like, F minus, huh?
Right.
Okay.
How is that even possible?
Cool.
Yeah. But that's a good point. Like, there's there's another owner that, I mean, like, I think you're made to look good when you have Andy Reid, who obviously it's very clear now. I mean, he's a great coach for a long time in this league. And you have, some of his coaches, and they've had good front offices, so there's clearly, to me, an eye for hiring people there. That, I would rather have an owner who's cheap and can hire good people than an owner who's maybe like Jerry's like, spend all the money, but maybe isn't that smart.
You know what makes the Lions' futility, before we get to Steve Layman, the Lions' futility kind of more amazing to me? Throughout that process, they've had maybe the greatest running back of all time in Barry Sanders. They had one of the, I mean, you tell me, 10 best, 5 best receivers to ever play the game.
Oh, yeah.
In Calvin Johnson. Yeah. And by the way, since 2009, their quarterback situation's been good. Like, they drafted Stafford in 2009 and then have gone to Goff, and he's been good. Like, they've had almost 20 straight years of good quarterback play
Yeah.
and just
Yeah. And that's why I
they've
try
been
to
an NFC title game.
try to tell you guys, get out. I've been trying to tell you to get out for a long time, and you won't listen to me. Someday you'll learn.
Hey, I
Lions
think
fans.
they're the favorite in the division this year, though.
Are they?
I think so.
Interesting. I don't know
Did you
about
take that bet?
I would take the other side of that bet, yes.
615-737-1025. We will get back into your thoughts on this later in the show. Steve Layman from News Channel 5 coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. And we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Steve Layman to the program from News Channel 5. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Robby, how we doing?
Awesome, man.
Great.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Steve, mandatory minicamp for the Tennessee Titans this week. We will get to the Cam Ward, Carnell Tate part of this here in just a few minutes. But outside of those two guys, when you look at the storylines that have developed this offseason, when you look at what the Titans have done on paper heading into the 2026 season, what intrigues you the most about this group outside of the quarterback and the wide receiver?
Well, I'm going to remove offensive line, too, because that is probably my biggest question mark of this entire team right now, Robby, because they had so many holes. We all know that when they went into the offseason. And I think they did a pretty good job of addressing most of them, but I still have major question marks about what's happening on the interior of the offensive line. Is Austin Schlottman or Cordell Volson or Jackson Slater, are those your answers right there? We're not going to know that until at least they put pads on in training camp and maybe even into the regular season. So that aside, major question mark there. I guess I'm most curious to see defensively kind of what they do at the linebacker position once they really get going there. I think you've got obviously a lot invested with Cody Barton already, and then now you've got a second-round pick with Anthony Hill there, and obviously Cedric Gray was really good last year. How they rotate those guys and what they do a little bit in the secondary in terms of their rotation as well. One guy that's really stood out to me this offseason is Marcus Harris. And so I want to see his progression continue in minicamp this week and then into training camp because he's really been a revelation for a guy who was a sixth-round pick last year.
Meanwhile, Steve, and I share the concern with you, primary concern of the interior of the offensive line. Meanwhile, a lot is made of Cam Ward and his accuracy or his lack thereof. How do you view what we're seeing, what we've seen so far and what it means, if anything?
Well, Joe, I think accuracy is just going to be a thing for him. I don't view him as one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. I think the real challenge for the Titans and for Cam Ward is to get him to make that stride that not every play has to be the spectacular play. Last year, we saw some truly spectacular, terrific moments from Cam Ward, but there weren't enough layups taken by him throughout the course of the season. And sometimes as a quarterback, you got to take that ball on first down that's a 2 or a 3 yard gain. So it's 2nd and 7 as opposed to 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11. It's now 3rd and 3 as opposed to 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 12. Those are the things that I don't think Cam Ward did enough last year. And if you look at the really great quarterbacks out there, Joe, Tom Brady made his living doing that. Peyton Manning made his living doing that. Yes, they could make all the throws. They did the spectacular thing here and there. Sometimes they made the play that you have to win the game. But most of the time, they diced teams up by knowing where to go before the ball was snapped and making the easy play. And I just don't think we saw enough of the easy play. I'm less worried about what Cam Ward's doing right now because in training camp and certainly the offseason program, you can take a few risks. You can see what's out there. You can see what you like in the offense. But when we get into training camp, certainly when we get into preseason games and then into the season, they've got to get him to make the simple play, the routine play, more often than he did. And part of that's the fundamentals they've talked about, the base and the throwing motion and all that, replicating that play to play. But a huge part of it to me is just the decision making of saying, all right, it's 1st and 10 at midfield. We're in a good position here. I'm going to take a 3 yard pass or a 4 yard pass and be in a better situation for 2nd down than trying to thread it down the middle of the field, 25 yards, maybe into trouble. Those are the types of decisions we need to see more from him.
So with all that being said, there's a lot of newness for him this year, obviously with Dable coming in and a new coaching staff, and they've added to the roster at receiver, which should help him looking forward to all this. So, I'm not asking you to give me numbers or anything, but what's fair in terms of expectations for him entering the year in terms of how quickly he needs to start to show meaningful progress as a number 1 overall pick.
Well, I thought, to be fair, Robbie, I thought we saw some progress from him last year. I thought at the end of the season, he took care of the football better than he did at the beginning of the year last year. And whether that was just a matter of Mike McCoy being in charge and kind of some different focuses from the staff than there were with Brian Callahan early on, I don't know. But I think Cam Ward was a better quarterback in December last year before he got hurt in the final game than he was in September or October. So I want to see a little bit more of that progress. But really, to me, this team is going to go the way Cam Ward goes. And yes, that involves that offensive line question mark that we have. That involves those wide receivers stepping up and making more plays, the running game being able to get going, and the defense being better in the way I think a lot of us expect it to be. All that's true. But we're going to find out how much progress Cam Ward makes by what the record of this team makes. If they can get to 6 wins or 7 wins, then that, I think, is going to show you significant progress of the quarterback. Anything better than that, and then you're going to be talking about real progress at the quarterback position. And obviously, if they're sitting there at 3 or 4 wins at the end of the year, you're probably going to be pretty frustrated by Cam Ward. So more than any numbers of can he get to 3,000 or 4,000 yards or so many touchdowns or things like that. I mean, you want to see that decision-making get better, but mainly you just want to see this team win games, because if they're winning some games, winning more games than they did last year, then that means Cam Ward has taken some significant strides.
So this is not a commentary on Cam Ward, but I said earlier in the show, Steve, I think the Titans should be willing to throw out a 5th-round pick if, Brendan Sorsby, gets into the supplemental draft. So first of all, I'd like your thoughts on that. And also just your thoughts on that entire saga now that it has because, I think it was – I still think it's a really bad thing for college football that it was even ever a temporary injunction that someone could do what he did and still play the game. But what is your final takeaway from that? And would you throw out like a 5th, a lower pick, and take a minimal risk on a guy with that level of talent?
Yes, probably I would do that, especially, I think I'm still assuming, aren't you guys, that they're probably going to shop Will Levis at some point here.
Yeah.
And so, if you can get something, I don't think it's going to be a 5th-round pick, but if you can maybe get a 7th-round pick back for Will, and you could use your example, give up a 5th-round pick and get into the Brendan Sorsby sweepstakes, I think that's worth it. So yes, I agree there. And in terms of the NCAA saga, Joe, I followed this really closely in terms of the whole sort of paid-for-play era that is out there. And I think this is one of the more damaging things that you can talk about. The transfer portal's crazy. The NIL, or what has truly just become paid-for-play of boosters, is chaos in the sport, especially when you couple those two things together. But you fundamentally cannot have players betting on sports, specifically their own team's games, without punishment. And that was what we were teetering on the brink of with the Brendan Sorsby thing. I'm glad. I feel like even Texas Tech, which I do not think exactly covered itself in glory in the last couple of weeks with this, I feel like maybe the adults won out in the room there. They understood that basically the entire enterprise was revolting against them over this, and ultimately, you get the situation yesterday. Obviously, he had to make a choice, too. If he would have lost in court, he wouldn't have been able to play, period, next year. And so he makes the choice of, all right, let's go try this next level thing, and let's just move on. I think that's best for everybody involved. But I also hope in a long-term sense, maybe this wakes some people up. I've been very skeptical of the idea that the Save College Sports Act or whatever the new bill, those sort of things that are going on in Congress can actually get passed. Maybe seeing something like this will get them to say, look, they're really in a world of hurt here. We need to do something. Or maybe it will just change something in a legal aspect. But I hope this story wakes up the people who say, what is really the big deal? These guys deserve to make money. No one's arguing that. These guys deserve to be able to transfer in a way that other students do. No one's really arguing that. But at the moment, there are legitimately no rules in college athletics that can be enforced And that is not sustainable. That model that we're working under right now cannot last very long. And maybe finally now, the people who've been sort of fighting that and saying, what really is the matter here, will realize there are some problems that need to be addressed.
All right, Steve, last thing for you here. Scale of 1 to 10, your excitement level of watching the World Cup, and what do you make of like all the people from France and England and all these places coming over and discovering Waffle House and Buc-ee's and all that stuff for the first time?
That part is amazing, by the way. Just the totally wholesome part of this, because let's be honest, the world isn't perfect. The United States is not perfect. We've had some things that have been widely discussed out there, but I think sometimes we forget how truly amazing this country is, how beautiful it can be, the incredible stadiums, the incredible cities and places we have, and most importantly, by and large, the incredible people who live here, who really enjoy other people coming and going all out to make them feel comfortable. And I think it's really cool to see foreign tourists come over here and say, wow, this place is incredible. So I think that part is magnificent. But in terms of just the games themselves or the matches themselves, I'm fired up for this. I mean, yesterday we had 4 matches. No one won.
Yeah.
They were all draws
4 draws.
yesterday. And I was riveted by just about all of them. It was really, really, really good soccer yesterday. The drama was high. And yes, you had no specific winner in any of those games, but I still thought it was great. I thought the Netherlands-Japan game on Sunday was fantastic. And obviously there's excitement about the U.S. because they have an opportunity to do something here that maybe we've never seen before in the World Cup. So I am fired up for sure. Soccer is not my first love. I definitely prefer the football and college basketball and those sort of things. But this has been tremendous. It's really cool that it's here. It's at times that are easy for us to watch. And I'm fired up to watch the next month to see, one, if the U.S. can actually capitalize on this opportunity, and two, just to see the drama unfold between some really, really good soccer sides and what I think is a very excited world fan base that's here in America to watch.
Well, Steve, you're the best. We appreciate your time. As always, you're very kind with it. Thanks so much for coming on with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
You bet, guys. Anytime. Take care.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Layman, our guest from News Channel 5 here on the program. We'll take your reaction to what Steve had to say, the Rex rant with Joe Rexrode. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I had a plate with 4 huge halftime meatballs. Enjoyed the hell out of them. Felt great Monday.
I did test the bounds of gout.
Gout is mental. No, it is not mental.
That ball hit high and deep. Way back, and he's not quite out of here. Damn it.
How different would PK's life be if Josh Gordon played here?
I smoke weed constantly.
Just imagine those guys would be playing hacky sack all day outside the facility.
Stay off the weed.
Like PK talks about DNA, and I get mad about it.
I would take Manning blood and drip it around the Titans practice field if I could.
Family ties. Those matter. Blood's thicker than water.
Got to get the blood flowing again down there.
Oh, wait. Oh, Ball. I love you, Ball.
Wilt was real. Just ask all of those women.
I smoke weed constantly.
It is time for the Rex Rant, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters most, and served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville.
Beautiful stuff. By the way, you bring up gout. I do have a little gout concern right now.
Do we?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
a little bit,
not
bit.
good.
But we're not going to get into that.
Well,
I'm gonna go to. This is one reason. Maybe it's good or bad that Twitter exists. That I'm still on Twitter. You're not.
It's
I'm
bad.
still on it. It's bad, but this guy Skylar Meekrantz is apparently a Colts fan, and yesterday tweeted this out and tagged me. He said, #Colts fans. This is how good Andrew Luck was. And it's like a crying, like, I miss him. I found this old post from the Tennessean singing about his greatness from @Joe Rexrode. And I'm like, what? And I looked, and it's the first. It's my column from December 24th, 2018.
Okay.
Christmas Eve of 2018 when I was a Tennessean sports columnist. And I forgot that I did this. I wrote fake sports Christmas carols. The first one is Andrew Luck is coming to town. And I'm not even going to read that one. It's so bad. But one of the lines in there is like, he doesn't play for the boys. And then it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Then I was like, oh, that was back when Taylor was like, oh, the boys. It's for the boys. Here, the boys hanging out. So you got to understand like the time and place. Well, then I went down the rabbit hole. The headline says, Penny the Big Complainer and Other Twisted Holiday Classics. And just to demonstrate how bad I was and how lucky the Tennessean is that I'm not their columnist anymore, I'm going to sing some of these for you. Okay?
Please
How about this? This one is called Heck, the Vols, to the tune of Deck the Halls. Okay? Here we go. Heck, the Vols lost again to Vandy. Ugh. And Pruitt thinks OCs aren't handy. Ha. To love this team is to be embarrassed. Ha. But at least we got Quavaris. Rah. Yes, Quavaris
Holy
Crouch.
crap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, I told you this might be one of the worst
No, I think this is going to be the best.
rants of all time. How about this one called Full Roster to the tune of White Christmas? Okay. Here we go. I'm dreaming of a full roster, just like the one we had before. When I traded for PK and Kyle, I thought we'd be fine for a while. I'm dreaming of a full roster so we can win one on the road. We need RV hustling and Phillip muscling and maybe even a power play goal. I'm dreaming of a full roster so Levy will flash me a smile. He mumbles upper body and lower body all day. Pekka, can you save his blues away? This is so bad. I'm dreaming of a full roster with every fellow GM I write. May your days be merry and bright. And if not, a trade just might be right. I mean, this is the crap that I put in the Tennessean. And they published this.
Let me ask you this. Do you recall, we can just leave this playing in the background. Do you recall if this was your idea or if this was someone else's.
No, this was my idea.
Okay.
I'm demented. I got one more for you.
Okay.
There's a big one with. I'll do it another day. Marcus Mariota to Wham's Last Christmas, which might be the masterpiece of it all. And there's another one with Penny, but I got to do this one, which is for Vanderbilt fans to remember when when Chancellor Zeppos was in charge. Okay, this is called Mr. Zeppos to the tune of "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." Okay.
Oh boy.
You're a sly one, Mr. Zeppos. You give the run around. You definitely evade reporters with a cry of anchor down, Mr. Zeppos. You're a modern-day James Bond right in our little town. Hold on, let me read this. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, exactly. You're a smart one, Mr. Zeppos. With funding, you won't part. SEC checks are cashing, but diverting is your art, Mr. Zeppos. You wouldn't touch Vanderbilt Stadium if you had a $39.5 million start. There's more, but I mean, this is embarrassing enough. I've embarrassed myself enough today. Thank you. Oh, wait. All right, I got to do this one. All right, I'll do the last thing of Mr. Zeppos, okay? You're a fast one, Mr. Zeppos. Out of the tunnel you vault. You're everywhere when things are good, and if not, questioners halt, Mr. Zeppos. The 3 words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, not my fault. Thank you. That's full embarrassment of myself.
I don't know if this has ever been a better segment for Ian Safar specifically. You know, there's a lot of content coming from this one.
You got some gold out of there.
A lot of content coming from this one. Nevada Josh says, your voice is actually better than I thought. Didn't realize how much you sounded like Creed.
Hey, man. I mean, when I do the Mariota one to Wham's Last Christmas, you're going to hear basically George Michael Jr. over here.
I think this needs to be done in front of Kuharski.
Yeah. Well, I hope he's not listening because, my God, he'll be insufferable tomorrow.
I mean, he's going to be anyway. The Knicks just won the championship, so you might as well just get it all out of the way in one sitting.
God, you're right. It's going to be terrible.
I mean, I would describe the reaction on the text line as mixed. Some have never been more proud of you ever, and some think this may be the low point of the history of radio.
Logan says, what in the fart are we listening to? Joe's kids have probably never turned on the radio so fast. I wish that they were like younger and on their way to school when that happened.
Eddie looked at me before the segment started. He's like, hey, this might be really bad. So just prepare yourself. I didn't know where he was going, but I'm glad he went there. Look, I would be honest, when you started doing this, I was like, so somebody at the Tennessean made him do this. Like, this is, look, this kind of sounds like one of those, cheeseball corporate Gannett type
right
things,
I wish I could say that. I wish that I could give you that excuse. For some reason I'm like, I got some really great ideas, guys, hear me out. Twisted Christmas carols. Hold on.
You're not gonna believe what I came up with today. Michael in Madison says, frankly, I think we need a full Joe Rexrode Christmas album at this point. That was incredible.
All right, we'll think about it.
I think I'm supportive of that.
Yeah.
The reaction trending overall positive. I think you pulled it off well.
Well, that's good. People generally enjoy people embarrassing themselves. So I'm here for you, folks. Here for the people.
737-1025 is our phone number. We're covering a lot of ground on the program here today.
We
Coming up next, how can coaching in the National Hockey League be so unimportant and yet so important at the same time? And what the heck does that mean for the Nashville Predators? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are brought to you by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. The demand for a Joe Rexrode Christmas album growing on the text line. Keep those thoughts coming at 615-737-1025.
I got someone also suggesting that, I should do a monthly redo of a famous song with sports lyrics.
I would agree.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
I mean, monthly may be aggressive, maybe quarterly.
Yeah, monthly may be a little aggressive. Also, can't you get you can't Weird Al, doesn't Weird Al have to get permission for these songs? Can't you get sued if you just use I did that Snoop Dogg song for Katie, and then I was like, could we have gotten sued for that?
I don't
Could
think
Snoop Dogg still sue us?
Surely to God, Snoop Dogg would listen to that and just be like, well, I just have to respect it so much.
Well,
that you just let it go.
That's true. But I mean, technically speaking, what are the rules on that, Ian?
I don't know.
I mean, if you make money off of it and you use the copyright, can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't do that. YouTube
clear.
does not like when we use music. They'll take down the video stream because of copyright issues.
Yeah.
When some of the music plays. So if you
after the fact,
interesting. Yeah. So if you're watching the show on YouTube or listening or whatever, you don't hear the bump music.
Yeah.
That you would normally hear if you're listening on the stream, on the app, or on the radio.
And that's
because
why.
Yeah, because you can't put the music through there. So there are certain rules that they might take down the YouTube video. I mean, technically, if somebody were, to complain, we might have to do something, but I don't think we would be sued into oblivion.
So if I were to do a parody song to Metallica or something, that they would just hear just me going, but no
on
music?
YouTube.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great for you.
Chances
for
are.
you YouTube watchers.
If there's ever reason to join the YouTube chat, we found it.
And if you were listening on YouTube, you didn't hear the music underneath that we are kind of sprinkling in there. So YouTube is good, but you don't get the full over the air experience.
Yeah,
but
just the behind the scenes there for people.
So even
Inside
live,
baseball.
they wouldn't have heard that. Live, they wouldn't even heard that.
Correct.
How do they
On
filter that
YouTube?
out in real time?
On YouTube, I do that.
Ian's pulling the strings. Back there.
Okay. So you actually for YouTube. Okay.
There's ways back
Learning
here.
so much today.
There's ways back here where we can adjust where the audio goes.
I mean, there's a chance this has been the most educational show in the history of the program.
We got some conversation about the scooters.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. We still have an hour to go.
We still got more to cover, more to get into on the program here today. So my question today is this: how at the same time in the NHL can it seem like coaching is so unimportant, and yet then I look at somebody like Rod Brindamore and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's clearly important. What does that mean? What does this mean for the Preds long term when you're talking about what the coach is going to be, who the coach is going to be, what the coaching staff is going to look like? How do you handle that if you're Chris McFarland? Because on the one hand, we just witnessed the Stanley Cup final, Joe, where the Vegas Golden Knights, 2.5 weeks before the season ended, fired their coach. Okay. So, and by the way, fired an objectively good Stanley Cup winning coach 2 weeks before the playoffs started, and hired John Tortorella, who's a great coach in his own right, very different, but a great coach in his own right. And they got to the Stanley Cup final. They fired their coach in a league where people fire the coach all the time. I would say probably more so than any other league. You just see coaching movement all the time in the NHL. So, I mean, it shows you, number one, coaches have shelf lives. Number two, I mean, teams are unafraid for the most part, unless you're the Predators historically, to just move on from coaches at the drop of a hat at all times. And then I look at Rod Brindamore in Carolina, and I say, well, yeah, they got a bunch of really good players, as we talked about yesterday. They've made some good draft picks. They've made some shrewd trades, some good free agent signings, all those things. But it's clear, when you start looking at the architect of all that and the reason for their success, it's not a coincidence that he's been there 8 years and they've made the playoffs every year and they've turned into an elite team and now have won a Stanley Cup championship. Like, he's a great coach. So I guess I'm struggling with in the NHL, like, how to properly place a value on your coach, what that means, what that looks like. And I guess one of the questions I've got is, if you don't have an upper crust elite guy, does it really matter much beyond that, right? Like, how important is coaching in the NHL, and how do you handle that if you're Chris McFarland?
It's a great question. I mean, I do think that I think there are some things that are true across all sports when it comes to coaching. Again, there's a great, this is not hockey, but Steve Kerr, there's a story by Wright Thompson about Steve Kerr. It is really long. It will take you a long time to read. It's totally worth it. And there's a part in there where Steve Kerr is like talking about some of these other coaches that, have won all these championship stuff. And he's like, basically do they actually think that they're like geniuses, or like, do we understand that, like, again, he was coached by Phil Jackson. He knows he's a great coach, but like, he had Jordan and Pippen and so I still think like Rod Brindamore, I agree with you. He's obviously a great coach, but they do have a good team and a lot of good players, right? Like, could Rod Brindamore not fail in this league? Could he fail as a coach in this league?
Yeah.
And then be viewed differently. I think so. I feel like there's the intangible parts of it, and then there's the tangible parts of it. So there are coaches that are innovators, or coaches that come up with stuff that they actually they out adjust or outthink the other guy. That happens. I think it can happen. It seems like it probably happens less in hockey, right?
I would agree.
Like, to me, it seems like, it's like you have your structure and you have your rules and you have your system, and you kind of, certainly you can tinker with lines and you can make a goalie decision and stuff like that. But I feel like with him, way outside looking in, one of the things about him is that he is super consistent and is like tough, but also he has that balance of tough and likable. Whereas like Lavi, for example, Lavi's going to wear on you after a while. That's totally has played out with him, because it's just like, he is more on the side of, just gruff and like, what is this guy actually thinking? Whereas I feel like Brindamore just seems to have that great balance of like, he's no nonsense, he's no BS, but also like he can have some fun and sort of keep it light enough. I think the intangible part of it, to be a long-term coach, along with having to have good players, is a big thing with him specifically.
Yeah, like, I mean, another example I think of is Paul Maurice in the NHL, right? Like, he was in Winnipeg for a long time. He's been
he failed before that, by the way.
And he failed before that.
He failed in Carolina.
Yeah, failed in Carolina. Like, he's been around for a long time. But like, I mean, taking it to Andrew Burnett was the interim head coach in Florida, and the Panthers at that time felt like they could upgrade, and they hired Paul Maurice. And what he did after that was make it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. He won 2 championships. And this past year, they're injured to smithereens out there. So who knows? But they very well could be back next year. We'll see what happens on that front. But like, clearly, he is a great coach. I still look at Florida and I say, well, the roster is the main thing. And I think you're going to look at that with every team. If you don't have the prerequisite of having the necessary players to win, then it's just going to be hard to do it. But I do think there are some coaches in the league, like, with as much as these dudes get paid and as much time as they put in, like, it has to matter to some degree. Like, especially if you're elite at it. Like, if you're an elite head coach, that's got to be an elevating force in your organization. I just wonder how you find that if you're the Predators. Because look, at this point, maybe he grows into it at some point. But right now, it's clear, like, Andrew Burnett is not an elite coach, right? Like, maybe he will be one day, but right now he's not. And we can talk about the roster, and it's clear the roster has deficiencies and all those things. But Andrew Burnett is not an elite coach. That doesn't mean he can't be the right coach. Doesn't mean he can't win with it. Like, look, I mean, frankly, there have been coaches that have won Stanley Cups that I look at and I'm like, yeah, okay, they're okay. I mean, they're okay coaches. Like, but I don't look at him and say, well, I mean, that guy just won a Stanley Cup, so he's automatically like best coach in the league. Like, certainly not.
No.
Craig Berube is a great example. I like Craig Berube. I think he's a good coach, but I don't look at Craig Berube and be like, Well, that guy, you got to just break down the door to go get Craig Berube as your head coach.
Yeah. Oh, and Mike Brown just won it all with the Knicks. He's always been a super likable guy. Seems like a good coach, but he coached some bad teams before and been fired by them.
Yeah.
And so now, this happens. Has he changed that much as a coach? I mean, probably not. With Andrew Burnett, I'm sure Andrew Burnett would be like, hey, they got rid of me, Maurice. Well, by the way, they got Kachuk that summer
for sure.
too. I'd like to have maybe could you give me a try with him on the roster too, and what Paul had moving forward from there. I think I might have done okay. Now, John Hines, some people thought he was a total idiot. I don't know. I mean, he won a playoff series with Minnesota and has a team that they're going to be hovering, they're going to be knocking on the door, right? Is it because he got better as a coach since he left here?
Well, it's also interesting too because I personally, I put John Cooper in the category of I think he's a great coach. I think he's really, really good. He's obviously won 2 Stanley Cups. But I will say, I mean, he was the coach of Canada. You got all the talent in the world. You lost, by the way, the United States in that. He hasn't been out of the first round in Tampa Bay in 4 years. They've got Kucherov, who just won the Hart Trophy. So I personally, I consider John Cooper probably the best coach in the NHL. But recently, there's no real success.
Is he getting worse as a coach?
Right.
I do think Cooper and Maurice, to me, again, this is outside looking, but I feel like both of them have that pretty mellow, low-key, general demeanor. And they can get fiery. They'll scream at rep. They get after players, but generally have that low-key, chill demeanor, which I think serves them well.
I would agree. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on NHL coaching. How can it seem so unimportant at times? But then you look at around the league and you're like, well, that guy's clearly a great coach. What does it mean for the Predators? What does it mean for Andrew Burnett? We'll take your thoughts on all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Hopefully smarter thoughts at 615-737-1025 than we get on occasion from some of you. Most of you are good.
Well, someone thought that we were by not naming Trotz, that was the implication that he wasn't a great coach. Trotz was a great coach. I mean, right? Yeah. He's a good, interesting example, by the way. I'm a guy who did more with less, right? Forever. Finally, they decided to move on.
They did.
And he goes and then, doesn't do quite enough with more, and then wins it, then goes to another place and immediately turns them around. It's like, when you look at the whole thing, it's like, geez, that guy's really good. Here's a question on Andrew Brunette. If Andrew Brunette had the clear best team, if Andrew Brunette had Carolina, and they just won it, or if he had, pick your team. Well, we just talked about Florida, the way they've been lately. Again, they got better after he left. They were really good. They added Tkachuk. So would he screw it up?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, what does screwed it up mean? I mean,
would he not win it?
They won the President's Trophy with him,
right?
So,
and they lost to Tampa in the playoffs that year, and that was still like, it was just like big brother, little brother, when they played in that series. It was just like that's the standard.
Yeah, like that was the standard. I mean, those Tampa teams are great. I do think Maurice changed their personality a little bit. Like, I think they played more of a playoff style. I mean, we talked yesterday about Brendan Moore and the style of play, right? Like, I think Florida and Carolina play very similarly. Like, they get in and they absolutely hound you. And they've got the benefit of, to differing degrees, having people in the middle of the ice that can just do anything. Like Jordan Staal just won the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's a really good player, but he's known basically for being just an absolute pain defensively to play against. Well, at a much, in my opinion, higher level, Barkov is maybe the best defensive center in the league. Like, he's really good, and he's got offensive pop to him. Like, he's a huge part of why they won those championships in Florida. Tkachuk obviously came in. I mean, he's a 100-point player. I mean, you add something like that to your team. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Brunette would have benefited greatly from having Matthew Tkachuk on the team. There's no doubt. Now, I will say, I mean, when Andrew Brunette was coaching, he did have Jonathan Huberdeau, who at the time was a 100-point player and then has since just totally evaporated as a player. So I don't know what to make of all of that. But if you're asking me to pick straight up, like, I do think they are and would have been better off with Paul Maurice, which is why they made the decision.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's like, ultimately, if someone wins it and does it, then that's all it is. They have to get some credit. It's hard to know how much. Someone said on the text line, the Brendan Moore gets more credit as a coach because he doesn't have like the superstar. And there may be some truth there, but again, they've been consistently excellent and they just won it. So, and I do think that maybe because of the superstar thing, maybe more is put on coaching than with some teams, I guess, right? Is that fair?
Yes, for sure. I would say so. And then, I mean, really the question is, if you're the Predator, like, can you find an elite guy? Like, Laviolette's a good example. Like, I think there was a time where you could make the case he was elite, particularly early. Like, there was a clear track record that developed with him where you would see evidence he would take over a team, very quickly would get them competitive, and frankly, very quickly for a while would get them in the cup final. Like, he won the cup in Carolina. He goes to Philadelphia. He got them in the cup final, I want to say, in the second or third year. He came here, got the Predators in the cup final the third year. Like, there was a pretty established track record for a long period of time of what he could do. And it hasn't played out that way since then. Like, he's gone to Washington, it didn't go great. New York, he had a good year winning a President's Trophy, but nothing in the playoffs. Like, and now he's in LA, and we'll see what happens there. I don't have overly high hopes for it. Like, I think there's also windows in the NHL where coaches just are effective, and sometimes that window passes. There are your rare guys that can be effective for just super long periods of time, and I think those guys are few and far between and really hard to find in the NHL. Like, Tortorella is an interesting example. I mean, he won the Stanley Cup in 2004, And really, if you look at it since then, I mean, he hadn't made the playoffs a whole lot. Like and some of that is, he went to Columbus and they were rebuilding.
Where
He
you
went to Philadelphia and they were rebuilding. But it was Vancouver. It didn't go very well. Like the postseason track record really hasn't been there. And then all of a sudden in 2026, he takes over a team 2 weeks before the playoffs and ends up in the Cup final again. Like it feels so random sometimes in hockey.
Yeah. Well, and my lack of, I'm with you on not having high hopes for Robby, but it's more because of what he's inheriting. Not that, I mean, certainly he must have lost something along the way here, lost some effectiveness, and maybe it's just like the age difference gets bigger and bigger or something like that. But my main reason for pessimism with him is that he's going to have an okay team. Now, the Rangers, that was a team right before he got there that were sort of in a window, right? And it didn't work out. So maybe with Robby, it's a little bit more that's a little bit more demonstration that he, has declined as a coach. But I mean, if y'all want to take it back to fandom, I'll go back to, we had Jacques Demers for a long time, and he was a very good coach of the Red Wings, and he, developed Stevie Y and all those guys. But then you go get Scotty Bowman, it's like, now it's serious. How much difference did he make? I mean, you talk about the old school taskmaster, hard ass head coach. That's Scotty Bowman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he won all the cups, so I guess that means something, right? Now, does that work now? Probably not as effective now.
Yeah. I think you have to. I think what you laid out with Cooper and Maurice is interesting because Maurice can get about as intense as it gets.
Yeah.
Like he can.
He's just really funny,
but he's also
cool
hilarious. Like, and I think he relates to his players really well. And
he's mild mannered while intense at the same time.
Yeah, and Cooper's not exactly the same, but like John Cooper, he can get on you in Tampa Bay. But for the most part, like he's pretty laid back based on the people I've talked to. So like I think there are differing styles, and I think today in 2026 you've got to. Like, I just think you've got to handle it. I mean, Tortorella's even talked about this. Like, the way he coached in 2003 or 2004, it doesn't really work in 2026. Like, the as he calls it, the athletes are different. They don't really respond the same way. And you got to, like, part of being a really good coach is learning how to navigate that.
And I've had a really good conversation. Yeah, with Brunette, the whole even like for a guy, because he's not old, he's a lot younger than a lot of these guys, but even like during his right after playing, days, you started to see that, right? A little bit of like, oh, people are actually giving their opinions now, and we are now in a partnership with the players and not just dictator and all that. Meanwhile, hey, Mike Babcock, come on back, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's bring some of that stuff back into the league.
Exactly. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get back into the Brendan Sorsby development that took a hard right turn yesterday. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sound's taking on the Memphis Redbirds. First pitch at 7:05. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, Mad Fireworks, and Social Cantina. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Major change in the development of the Brendan Sorsby case last night, Joe. We had the temporary injunction on June the 8th that we have talked a lot about. And then last night, it comes out that Sorsby will be entering the NFL supplemental draft. Texas Tech, and by Texas Tech, I really mean Cody Campbell, put out a statement that says, quote, that Sorsby would, quote, not be part of the Texas Tech football team this fall, and that the only viable and fair path for his future would be the supplemental draft there. So that is quite the change in approach from Texas Tech there. The Big 12 filed for a federal injunction on Monday morning for the right to potentially discipline Sorsby under their rules. And in the aftermath of all that, with the pressure being squeezed from every direction, Brendan Sorsby no longer playing college football in 2026 and will be pursuing the NFL's supplemental draft. Joe, quite the change in this story. Number one, what do you make of this development? Number two, in the aftermath of all this, how do you view everything that's gone down with Sorsby as it relates to what this means for the future of college athletics?
Well, I think Steve Layman put it well earlier when he said Texas Tech has not exactly covered itself in glory the last few weeks. That's a lasting thing. Even I'll tell you, we've talked a lot about Texas Tech over the last few years. I've been a fan of them and of Cody Campbell shaking it up. It's like, go, okay. I mean, you're allowed to pay whoever, whatever right now. So go out and blow up the market and load up your teams. I mean, I love seeing, even though they're already annoying, like Indiana football's already annoying, Signetti, but like Indiana, Vanderbilt, what they've done. And the Texas Tech thing's part of that. And I like that he's been going after the SEC and the Big Ten and is concerned about this Super League crap and all these things. But, man, he's done a lot of damage to himself. And Texas Tech, with the way they tried to spin this when they were like, well, when they were like in reality needing to play this quarterback that they paid millions to help win with a team that they loaded up with a super high priced roster and then tried to put it, make it in a big spin job about how they're just trying to look out for the best interest of a young student athlete. So it's that stuff's still there for Texas Tech. It's been damaging for them, to me, for whatever that's worth. But this is a great thing for college football that we don't have a guy who's going to play who gambled on his own team. It's incredible that we would even have to get this close to that. But that's what it was going to be, to me, disastrous. And I don't think that that's like an overstatement of what it would have been to have this guy get to play after what he did. It's just a very simple rule in any sport. And the idea that it would ever be that line would be crossed only in college sports. So credit to the Big 12 and all those other schools and even like the AC or the SEC, Big 10 schools that have been out there, like don't play Texas Tech and all. Like, there's been tremendous pressure. All of that is them saying all the haters can do whatever they want. But once you get into, okay, the whole Big 12 suing, and you may play them and you may be banned from the postseason. You may have wins that don't count. You may have no reward for the team because you played him. Now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, maybe we need to rethink this. Good on the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, it's great for college football he's not playing, because I think once you go down that road, as we discussed, it's just it opens up the door to so many possibilities that you start, okay, well, is there anything that can actually be enforced? Is there anything that actually is a bridge too far when it comes to this discussion? And look, I know that at the end of the day, I mean, he still got the temporary injunction, so it's not like he couldn't have done it. Who knows the way this would have played out had, the Big 12 continued along in their pursuit here, or what that would have ultimately ended up looking like. I'm glad that we're not going to find out. Like, I'm glad that this is just being punted and that all parties involved are just kind of moving on from this. I am interested to see, like, does this have any, once the season comes around, does it have any lingering effect on how people view Texas Tech out there? I mean, my guess is maybe early it will, but as we get into the season, it probably won't because people have short memories and they just move on and those things. So that's my guess. I don't know how much credit I'm willing to give Texas Tech in this decision. Like, I mean, you still got the president in the statement that they're putting out talking about how his health and well-being has always been like at the top of the concern list here. And it's like, well, we just know that that's not true. Like that's just a total word salad that you're mixing in there. So it's not very easy for me to give Texas Tech any sort of credit in this, but it just kind of feels like the pressure won out in the end. And it got to a point where it was more harm than good to just try to continue to pursue this. So I don't know what this is going to mean for college football moving forward. Like, I would be interested to know, and it could, because people have said this, and I have to think they're right. I mean, Sorsby can't be the only player that has, especially when you're talking about an age range of 18 to like 23, 24-year-olds, he can't be the only player that is gambling out there. So if and when the time comes when these players get busted on this, do we have the same thing where somebody tries to go get a temporary injunction, gets it from the court, and they're technically eligible to play, and there's more outcry on this? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what this is going to change moving forward here. Hopefully there's not too many more of these situations, but I'd have to think there's probably going to be at least another one at some point here, because every time this happens in the NBA or in the NHL or the NFL, we look at it and you say, well, so-and-so just got busted. There's no way this will ever happen again, right? And then inevitably it always does.
Yeah, well, certainly there'll be more gambling. I do think, I mean, his case is pretty extreme. Doesn't mean that there wouldn't be others. But yeah, if let's say we have a case where someone bet on their own team, or again, with him, he bet the under on Indiana and a half, and he bet the under on passing yards for the Indiana quarterback. He was a backup. I mean, that's betting against your team. So let's say it's a similar situation. First of all, how much of an outlier was this judge? Because it really is like, it's still hard to understand the ruling.
Yeah.
Like and that's when it comes down to it, these are individuals. I mean, they're guided by precedent and everything, but they are individuals. So was this just one whacked out rando judge, or is it possible that you'd see another temporary injunction in a case like this? Will someone be willing to pursue that given the outcry? The entire sport banded together for all the, not great things going on in college sports. I will say I've been impressed by how everyone basically was like, no, this is a line. You don't cross it. What can we do to make this not happen? And it really didn't take that long until they're like, okay, all right, we're out. Is that enough to deter someone from pursuing something like this? I mean, to me, I think maybe to a point, but if it's a super high prospect with a huge payday and that school is all in on that person, and then you were to have this revelation again, how likely is it that we have exact same circumstances? Not very, but something like that, I think that's where the line is. It's like, well, we're still going to give it a try. I don't know. I think it depends on the school. We talked last week. Would every coach play him in this situation? I don't think every would. Some people do. I've seen, like, Dan Wetzel wrote, like, you guys are crazy, basically. Like, everybody would do in the same situation, they'd all play him. I'm like, yeah, maybe. I mean, you may be right. I don't know. I think there's tiers to that. But I would hope that all the way that this played out, with this just getting dunked on to the point where they just have to back down, would be a deterrent. Because, again, what you don't want is you don't want young people to think I can just do any of this, get a judge, and I'm good. So I'll just do whatever I want.
Well, and again, there's more to this than just the football part of it. But part of this discussion has always been interesting to me because of the football part of it, of like, how good is he? I don't know. Like, there's debate on that. I mean, some people think he's a first-round talent. Some people don't. Some people don't think that that's what he's going to be in the NFL. So I don't know what that's ultimately going to mean. I mean, I do think he's good. How good is he? I don't know. Like, how different would it be, and would this same sort of response happen where they ultimately kind of cave on this and go away if it was like a Andrew Luck level prospect at Stanford? Like, would Texas Tech have folded on this if that's what it was? I don't know.
I don't know. And then how does it play out? Because you've got, like, the attorney general in Texas and Oklahoma screaming at each other. One saying, like Texas Tech can sue you if you try to do this. And then Oklahoma AG is like, you would lose badly. So go ahead and try it. And we would have just the lawyering up and the courtroom battling in college athletics has just reached a fever pitch. But it's a great question on how good he is. Baumgartner, I'm reading here, said basically a potential first rounder in this next draft at this point. But again, that's why this year would have dictated a lot of that, right?
And that's the thing. I mean, not to revisit last year, but there was a lot of quarterbacks that were potential first rounders heading into last year.
Nowhere near it.
In some cases, didn't get drafted. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. More on the Sorsby case to get into. Coming up next, we'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Join our YouTube channel. Subscribe at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. The YouTube chat been treated today to one of the most educational programs in history, I must say.
We tried to solve the city's problems with scooters, but don't throw them over the bridge.
Yeah.
So you heard some angelic singing today.
We've begun development on a Christmas album from Rexrode.
Like your dad had a good idea.
The red PT Cruiser that was used to rob
the
you.
red PT Cruiser will be the sled.
Put it on the album cover.
Watch out for those red PT Cruisers out there, folks.
DJ Burnside, get going. See what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh man, he's had some bangers lately too.
He always does.
He does.
That's
all I want when I die is all that in one nice big scrapbook,
So you 5th round pick is what you've decided for the Titans. Make a bid for a 5th round pick in the supplemental draft for Brendan Sorsby.
Throw it out there. The last time, by the way, that a team used a 1st round pick was 1992 when the Giants used it for Dave Brown.
Okay.
Which is, man, so that was, that's really interesting because the Giants had just he played for Duke. They had just won it. They'd kind of gone through the Sims era. They'd won a Super Bowl with him. They won a Super Bowl with Jeff Hostetler. And he and Sims were both there, and they threw out a 1st rounder in 92 for Dave Brown. And I don't think he did anything, but a 5th rounder for the Titans, to me, you're probably going to get outbid. So for people who don't know, we kind of went through the rules earlier, but it's sort of it's almost like a silent auction. And teams are tiered in 3 different tiers. It's like the worst teams, and the middle teams, and then the playoff teams. And so they get priority if a team in the worst tier, like the worst teams from last year, if they put out a 2nd round pick and a playoff team puts out a 2nd round pick, the worst team would get him. I thought a 5th. He's talented. There's no question he's talented. Like you said last segment. Yeah, could be a 1st round pick. Whole bunch of dudes that we said that about last year, and some of them came back to college. Some of them went way late in the draft, didn't get drafted. But he's talented. He's talented enough to throw a 5th rounder out there. You're trying to get rid of Will Levis. I mean, Hendon Hooker's hanging out right now, but young guy, what if he does get his stuff together? He is in treatment. What if you end up with a diamond in the rough, Titans or whoever, to throw out a lower pick like that, and you might have yourself. Now, you're then taking on some risk. You're taking on having to monitor all that stuff that he's going through. Like, how much does that deter teams from even messing with it? I don't know. Some probably are going to be some are like, nope, no thanks, off the board, no thank you. Will a team throw out a 3rd for him? I'd be really surprised if a 1st or 2nd round is offered up here. Would a team throw out a 3rd for him? I think that would be the question.
There has been one instance over the last 20 years where a team has used a 2nd round pick or higher in the supplemental draft. And that was Josh Gordon in 2012. So the Browns used the 2nd round pick in the supplemental draft for him.
And Pryor was 3rd round.
Pryor was 3rd round.
Right?
Sam Beal for the Giants was 3rd round cornerback. You got to go all the way back to 2003 for another 2nd round pick, which was Tony Hollings, the running back out of Georgia Tech that the Texans took.
Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, this is a really interesting case of why someone would join the supplemental draft too, would apply for the supplemental draft. So, but everybody's always looking for quarterbacks. Someone mentioned the Browns earlier. Hey, throw another quarterback in the mix and see if you can come out with something productive. He may be talented enough, he may have enough of upside. And again, I mean, he is in treatment. What if you think best case scenario on this? Of course, everybody thinks about risk, and he could lapse on this stuff. What if getting rid of this and taking this addiction head on and dealing with it makes him a better player? Now he could, right? I mean, there's a flip side of this situation too, where it's like, okay, maybe he was forced to deal with it, and that's really was the situation. He got caught. He was forced to deal with it, but now he's dealt with it. what if he's an even better player, than we've seen?
Yep.
Because he's dealt with this big issue he has.
My guess he goes as a 4th rounder in the supplemental draft.
Okay.
I got a hard time seeing somebody get up more than that based on all the circumstances around it. I understand he's a quarterback, so that's the other thing here. Like, I'm sure, Joe, people have throughout the league already begun evaluating quarterbacks that they think are going to be available in 2027. So maybe there's some teams out there that just absolutely love the tape on the field and they're willing to go up to like a 3rd rounder. I'd be surprised if that's the case. My guess is he goes wherever he goes for a 4th round pick. That's my official guess.
Okay.
Sounds
He
like
won't be here.
Sounds like next year's draft is supposed to be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Teams are really high on it.
Well,
so maybe
people are talking about like it's one of the greatest drafts of all time. Tom McShay said the greatest draft he's ever seen.
So does that influence your decision there as far as wanting to give something up? How much does that factor in?
Well, and how deep into the draft do you care about that? That's the other thing too. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah, because when people talk about that, they're definitely talking about 1st round. They're talking about quarterbacks. They're talking about
Top half,
2nd, 3rd round. 4th is probably, you're probably right. That's probably where someone would be like, okay, he's good enough for this. That's what I'm saying. Titans, throw out a 5th. Maybe no one does. And again, the 5th, we talk about 5th, 6th, 7th rounders now like they're almost worthless. And that may be an exaggeration, but with a lot of players who project to those rounds, they just come back to school and make more money.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not worried about losing a 5th. Certainly not worried about losing a 6th or a 7th, but I'm not that worried about losing a 5th. And you could end up with an incredible score. Who knows?
What a quarterback room it could be if you kept Levis and you just had Ward, Levis, and Sorsby. A lot of young talent in that room at that point.
And you're
Got to
just
find somebody somewhere.
and you're bouncing Trubisky. Trubisky's out of here.
Well, I mean, if you get Sorsby, I mean, Levis still pretty cheap. Just get them all. Trubisky can be here for a year. You find a way to manage 4 quarterbacks.
Sure.
I mean, probably not good news for our boy Hinton at that point.
It's probably not good news for him anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, but if you were, let's say you did, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually you win. You have Brendan Sorsby. Then
you got to get rid of Levis.
well, now, yeah, exactly. Like I guess you have even less leverage than Levis leverage.
You might have to like wave him. Everyone like, see you, bud.
Yeah, like I mean, seriously, that or a 7th rounder, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
And someone's going to get a gift because I think there's something there still with him, at least to be a QB2 in this league.
Hey, minicamp.
Maybe I'm
underway.
too optimistic about him.
Minicamp underway today.
Okay.
It's a mandatory minicamp this week for the Titans. So now until Thursday, and then they're off for the summer and it's training camp.
So we got 3 days of access and watching practice. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't
Today,
know what the
tomorrow, and
access.
Thursday.
2 days,
like.
maybe?
Yeah, I don't know what the access looks.
But we're
like,
gonna have PK is gonna come in with more than just dumb takes about the Knicks that he doesn't even care about. He's gonna actually give us Titans content tomorrow.
I think so.
Okay,
That'll be good.
let's focus on that, PK, and not trying to pretend you're not a fake fan of the Knicks. That's that is my request of you. Thank you.
Next man up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.